Hi, and welcome to another episode of Athena Insights, a production sponsored by Village TV. This show, my name's Linda Murray, by the way, and this show is basically to benefit you because you get to listen to the knowledge, wisdom and experience of some industry experts to basically help accelerate your success and help you put your best stiletto forward. So today I am rapt to have the gorgeous, the fabulous, the dynamic Robi Mack.
Already?
Oh, I know. That's how we roll. So welcome, Robi.
Thank you, Linda.
Fantastic,
it's great to be here.
have
Very
you.
happy to be here and share.
Great to have you. So look, Robi comes with a wealth of experience. She's been a keynote speaker and in the conference industry for nearly 20 years. I know she started when she was 3.
Blush.
Oh, yes. But also has done a range of other things, not the least of which is being a comedian and a clown doctor, entertainer, the list goes on. I've known Robi for years, and one of the things that I just adore about catching up with Robi is she is just this, you've got this contagious bundle of energy to you, which is just such a pleasure to be around.
Thank you.
That's
I put it down to red cordial.
Okay. Good.
No.
And lollies.
And lollies. No, I used to.
Exactly. So look, it's only fitting that I'd have the gorgeous Robi Mack here to speak to us today about how to best position yourself from the stage or in front of people, and essentially how to create presentations through dynamic delivery.
That's it.
She's the woman that can pack
I'm the
a punch.
woman. And I'm only 5 foot, so it's a big punch for a short woman.
Exactly. We've got her on the high chair.
I know.
Fantastic. Well, great to have
Thank
you here.
Thanks for having me.
So look, can you start by telling us why is it so important in this day and age, do you think, for business owners, executives, any sort of professional to be able to present in a dynamic way?
Well, I think that the key thing is that everything needs to be engaging. If you're going to stand on stage, whether it's in front of a staff room or whether it's a conference, you can't afford just to be in bland land, because otherwise it's like, well, I can listen to the audio. So you have to give them visually something to look at, something to engage them, and that it's not just face and hand movements and body movements, but it's your energy that you bring to the stage. It's your intention of what you want to give. It's the fun that you have, your playfulness. I think there's so many times I've seen, when you're watching, I've done conferences, and the people out there, when they're listening, they give you their TV face, which is like this. And I've seen speakers speak with their TV face. They're like, good morning and thank you for having me here today. And you sort of go, oh my God. So, I think it's about bringing your personality to life so that people want to listen, people are engaged and therefore keen to hear about your services, your products and what you have to offer.
It's so true.
Did you just want a one-word answer then?
No, that was perfect. Because we're probably inclined to think like newsreaders who we watch every day. Every day our whole lives since 6 o'clock, we watch these people speak like this and they have a certain note to their voice.
And they're reading an auto cue, so it's very just stationary of what they do. And being news, obviously, it's more restricted. But you're right, I think that's probably the model that a lot of people use, as well as, whether they stay behind a lectern and then they're sort of like too frightened to leave it, and
the grip of death.
Yes, the grip of death. And as well, and the thing is, if you had a cup of coffee in a cafe, you'd be relaxed, you'd be more animated, you'd relax, you'd move. And I think, bringing that to your presentation, it's just bringing your personality, amplifying the aspect of playfulness of who you are. And obviously, if it's a serious topic, it still doesn't have to be deadpan. Serious topics can still have warmth. They can still be engaging. They can still touch a person, even if it's a serious subject matter.
Which probably in terms of technical presentations need to even more. You've got to keep people awake and show up as all of you.
And that's right. And whether if it is technical and it's a lot of download of information, which is obviously important with a lot of conferences and things like that, breaking the tension, whether it's with some humour, whether it's storytelling, whether it's activities, being able to chop and change and create a bit of a space where people can participate and not get tired and not switch off.
Fantastic.
So, mind you, I must say that my very first audience, I can share this, my very first audience, I had 4 people in the front row fall asleep.
So that was the what not to do.
Mind you, it was for a Probus club, so they were all about 70 plus, so maybe it was just their time. But it's like, oh, okay, keep it going, keep it alive.
Excellent. No, because I imagine, you know, when we look at things like personal positioning, I think these days that is just so important.
Yeah.
And so how you're showing up in front of people, it is about that authenticity and bringing your true energy, isn't it, to the table. If we want information, we can Google, we can YouTube.
Read a book.
We can find information. It's how you deliver it that makes it stick.
The delivery is what makes it stick. It's what reaches in and touches you and makes a person respond. So, and I think that, you know, one of the art of presenting, it's also about bringing your vulnerability to the table. And that's scary, because I would say that probably most people are nervous about public speaking. Isn't it? The fear of public speaking is up there with death and divorce.
I think it's number one.
Is it number one?
Death is number two. I don't know where divorce rates now that so many more are happening.
I know. So, you know, I think because it's such an anxiety-filled thing to do, there is definitely the need to learn about it, to get some coaching, to work it, to be prepared, to, I think the more preparation you do, the more clarity you have, the more articulation, you know, you bring to the piece, and the more likely people are going to respond and hear what you have to say. You want them to experience you, not just hear you, but experience you. And that's the difference between a dynamic delivery and reading a book.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've just mentioned a few of the key points to having that dynamic delivery. What else should people be thinking of?
Okay. So clarity, staging, your energy, participation, you know, are you meeting their needs, their questions, getting a sense for the audience so that, you know, are they tiring? If they're tiring, then it's time to do something, to break it, to give them something. Sometimes it's a matter of just getting up and giving them a stretch because they've been sitting for a few hours, you know. People tend to, I'm so tired. So there's lots of things you can do to keep them, you know, in a long presentation. You know, short presentations, you can have fun with them because it's short, sharp, in and out kind of thing. So it's a little bit more entertaining. If you're doing a long workshop, then you've got to manage the state of the whole room for the day or half day.
And as a speaker, it's your responsibility to do that, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. You've got to be mindful. So it's not only about the information that you put out. That's important. Your message is absolute key. But at the same time, you've got to be assessing the room and noticing what's going on over here, and noticing that someone's leaving, or noticing that somebody's nodding off, or they're hitting the lolly jar, or, you know, whatever's going on, so that you can sense the audience and their needs and respond to them accordingly. And that way they'll feel that you're on their side, that you're actually listening to their needs as well as giving to them the information you want to get across.
And Robbie, how much of that can you prepare for? Because I imagine part of it is almost planned spontaneity.
Planned spontaneity.
You know, things that you...
Got the little toolkit.
You anticipate that they'll need certain energy breaks and what have you, and then another part of it, you've just got to fly with it.
You do.
In the room. And as I say speaking and as I say room, I don't necessarily mean a room of 100 people. It could be a boardroom.
Exactly.
It could be a meeting that you have every week.
Exactly.
This is where you get to practice and really show up and present in a dynamic way.
Oh, definitely. And again, I think, you know, the importance, whether it's, you know, around a board table, whether it's 10, whether it's 50, whether it's 500, you know, it is about managing your state and what you bring to the room and what you bring to your audience, you know, and by engaging them with your energy, you lift them. They often say that people often don't remember what you say, but they'll remember how you make them feel.
That is so true, isn't it?
If you have given them an experience, they'll walk away going, remember, you know. And that way they'll be more likely to remember what you did say because they had an experience with you.
They're engaged.
And that's why I think dynamic delivery is really important.
And sometimes we have to deliver on information that we know isn't that exciting.
That's right. So have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Name the pink elephant. Okay, guys, we know this is boring. Let's just do the ABC. You know, name the elephant. Have some fun, as opposed to thinking, you know, you're going to be presenting, you know, something that's absolutely new, when in fact what you're doing is revising because everyone's forgot, you know, not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
and so, you know, name it. Just name it. This is what we're doing. Keep the pace. Make it fun. Whether you put some competition into it, whether you break them into teams, whether you get them to work, you know, collaboratively together. There's lots of ways.
So it's really, where can I inject energy and creativity
Energy, creativity, yep.
in advance, isn't it?
Definitely.
As part of that preparation
Definitely.
piece.
And being able to be, as you say, spontaneous and improvise. I mean, improvising scares a lot of people.
You're the
and
master of improvising.
I do, well, yes, working, part of my work is improvisation, and I did some workshops on improvisation. Mind you, it scared me senseless. It really did. I'm one of these people, I love to be prepared. I'm a well-rehearsed, well-prepared. If I have to do a show, in the old days, 5 shows a week, I will nail it every time, doing the same thing every time, in the same place every time, because I love preparation.
But it all would have looked as if it was the only time you've ever said that.
Totally. So going into impro was totally out of my comfort zone, which is why I did it. Great. And I think public speaking is, in whatever form, about getting out of your comfort zone and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
So it almost is a bit match fit.
Yeah, definitely.
Isn't it? Like you're increasing your speaking or you're presenting fitness. Because I think of it like flight hours.
Yeah.
It's almost like the more time you spend in front of a room or in front of a camera, obviously the better you're going to get.
The more runs on the board you can do. And if you can't do it in front of people, then you do it in the imagination of your own mind with the audience, and you deliver your speech prior. I'm always amazed at how many times people present for the first time with the audience on stage, and you're like, are you kidding? I've done it, so hundreds, in front of hundreds, in my lounge room.
So you line up the dog, the kids' toys,
all the Legos toys, the Lego people.
All the Transformers, they're there.
They're there, my best audience, they don't answer back.
Fantastic. And so what are some of the core difficulties that people experience? Because as you said, it is such a big fear for people.
Definitely.
Why is that? Why does that happen?
I don't know why it's a fear. No, I do. Well, my thoughts on why it's a fear is I think it's because we feel exposed. It's that, stepping out from behind the veneer that we like to present, very well groomed and put together, but we can't, like to put ourselves on the line, we risk being assessed and judged and, God forbid, rejected. So therefore there's a lot of anxiety around that, whether it's unspoken and unknown or whether you are aware of it. I think the idea of putting yourself up front is just very daunting. It's that whole vulnerability piece I mentioned.
Yeah, right.
So, dealing with that, and then what happens from that is when the nerves kick in, the adrenaline kicks in. So, and adrenaline is a great great hormone, a great chemistry to get you going, and there's adrenaline junkies that love it. But if you have too much adrenaline, you get what's called adrenaline amnesia, and you'll get on stage, you'll start and then you go, oh, what was I saying? And you just blank. And it's just too much adrenaline. So managing your state prior to going on stage, or prior to going into a boardroom, or prior to coming to do a television series, you've got to manage your own personal state so that you can give the best delivery.
So what tips do you have for someone, in terms of pre-management, but then in that moment where you do have that mental blank?
Okay, so I've had both happen. So adrenaline for me, I feel it's like butterflies. It's so fast.
Or elephants.
It depends on like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's huge. So for me, it's like trying to do something counterintuitive. If my body's going fast, I breathe very slowly. So I'm deliberately, consciously, deeply, slowly breathing. So some people like to be in the room and get the buzz and be all, hyped when they do it. I'm not one of those people, but there are people like that. So I personally like to bring it down and just calm, because I know the adrenaline's going to kick the moment I walk on stage.
Yeah, right.
So it's like by bringing this part down, when this part kicks in, hopefully there's a balance.
Fantastic.
Is my plan.
Yep.
When I do go blank, again, I own it. Sometimes you can cover it, because sometimes I think you're delivering so fast that what you're thinking about is it happening at the same speed that you're talking.
True.
And so there's no gap. Whereas really you want to be speaking a little bit more slowly so that the thoughts are coming in as you're speaking. So it's this sort of separate timing of what you're thinking, and after you think it, you're saying it. Not at the same time.
Clever.
So that's about slowing down.
And we
then,
can, sorry to cut you off, we can slow down, because I think we think on stage like we're speaking at a normal pace, but we're actually going like this because we're so excited.
I'm going fast now.
Because we get excited, right? It's not even necessarily nerves.
That's right.
Sometimes
it's just the energy of excitement.
You're amped to be there.
That's right.
And the whole power of the pause, just to create the space in the room or catch your breath.
Totally. I mean, letting people see you think, that's okay. Some people, they start and it's like pressing play and they're off and racing like a horse race until they get to the end and they stop. You can pause. You can allow, I think pausing allows the people to hear what you've said and to respond. When you say something, people are going, oh you know, and if you keep talking over that, then they miss it and they don't catch up. So space and pausing is just imperative. I like thinking that movement on stage and pausing and, you know, silence is like the punctuation of your speech. So whether it's a full stop, a comma, a sentence, a paragraph or a chapter, all those things can be crafted in to your dynamic delivery on stage.
It's amazing how even though being in presenting mode is just a form of communication,
It is, yep.
how we don't seem to employ all the tips and tricks
Yep.
that we've known our whole lives,
Yep.
say in how we write,
Yes.
or as you said, how we communicate with friends over
yeah.
coffee.
Yeah.
For some reason, when we've got a group and it's a monologue, we change all the rules.
It's like there's no rules, just do it.
Yeah, get through it. Really, isn't it? It's just get through it a lot of the time.
It is,
Great.
yeah.
So any other tools specifically that professionals really need to be employing in order to present in a dynamic delivery sense?
Okay.
And again, with that positioning in mind, so that they are putting their best stiletto forward.
Best stiletto forward. I love that. Being prepared head to toe, head to stiletto.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, now I've forgotten the question. There you go.
About any other tools,
Any
because
other
you've given
tools?
us loads already.
Okay. So if I go blank on stage, something like that, as tool.
Sure.
Okay. So I mean, obviously you have your notes, and it's okay to look at notes. Again, we have this sense that we have to be perfect, and we're not perfect. And if your audience sees that you're not perfect, that's okay. I think it's best to be polished than perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's best to be purposeful and not perfect. So
really
if I
like
am
that.
polished and purposeful, then tick the boxes, and it doesn't matter if I've gone, oh, hang on, I know there's something important for me to tell you. Oh yeah, there I am. And there we go,
And
off you move.
I've seen a few perfect speakers who are, you know, perfect from a textbook perspective, and they were actually disengaging in their perfection.
Definitely, because there's a lack of humanity in it. There's a lack
Yeah.
of personality in it. There's this structured stiffness to it.
Yes, exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So don't be perfect.
Don't be
Is the moral,
perfect.
be authentic.
And I'm not perfect because I just left my phone on, and that's bound to come through.
It
there
happens.
you go.
It happens. Fantastic. So any other tools that you would give from your years of experience and your words of wisdom?
So preparation,
Yes.
rehearsal,
Energy management.
energy management, before and post. You know,
Okay,
people don't.
interesting.
Yeah. So when the adrenaline kicks on stage, or you know, after a presentation, what happens is we get adrenal fatigue afterwards, and we crash.
Oh,
And so if you're not aware of that, you'll sort of go, oh, gee, why do I feel so tired? Oh, I didn't do a good job. And you get all this doubt coming in. And what's
Okay.
happening is your chemistry's actually just going, oh, okay, now
Yeah,
we're coming
right.
down. And I used to literally, after working up and being prepared, and, you know, whether it was, you know, a huge group or whatever, there should be this enjoyment. There should be, yay, I nailed it. And there'd be this crash. I'm like, oh my God. So being aware that there's usually a down time to recover. It's not that you've done a bad job, it's just that you're in recovery mode. So it's important to know that and
allow
not
for
be
that.
hard on yourself. Yeah.
in your diary. So if you
Absolutely.
know that you're doing a big presentation,
Exactly.
is block out.
Next day is blocked out.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
I mean, if it's fly to another gig, then so be it. But I will always have some downtime afterwards, just
Fantastic.
to allow that reset.
Yep.
Because then I can up and go again.
And I imagine if someone's doing a presentation to, say, their team, for
Yeah.
example, even to have that downtime to recover from a physiology perspective, but
Yep.
also to reflect.
Oh,
What did I do
totally.
well? What didn't go so well? What will
Yes.
I change next time we do this?
Yeah. And that's, I always give myself scores. I've talked to you about
Yeah.
it. So I have 2 scores. So one is for my score of delivery. How well do I think I delivered?
Right.
1 to 10. 10
Yes.
being kicked it out of the park.
Yeah.
2 going, oh my goodness, you should just, stop
4
what you're
people
doing.
in the front were asleep.
Are asleep, yeah. Seriously reconsider your career choice. And then what I do is I give myself a score for how well it was received.
Okay, so that would be the 4 people in the front potentially.
Oh, yes, potentially. Although if the others were awake, it's okay.
Yeah.
So how it's received, because sometimes, you know, we can be so critical about, you know, oh, I missed that slide, or I pressed the clicker wrong, or I forgot that page, or I didn't tell them this, and we're so harsh on what we didn't do.
Yeah.
And then people come after you afterwards and go, that was fantastic, I was so impressed, or that made the difference, or I had a light bulb moment, and you go, oh, really? So, you know, you've got to allow that what you feel going this way can be different to what's being
That's so
received that
true.
way. So 2 scores, how
Yeah.
you deliver and how it's received.
I love it. Fantastic. So much great content there.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much,
My
Robi.
pleasure.
And she is fantastic. I've used Robi as a Stagecraft coach myself when I've had big presentations to do, and the bits of gold that you gave me were definitely
you.
the bits that made it successful.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much
My
for being
pleasure,
here.
my pleasure, Linda.
Thank you for joining us
Thank
for
you.
another episode of Athena Insights, and we'll see you again. Thank you.